Good afternoon, I'm Jeff Gorman, owner of Creative Computing, Princeton's only Apple specialist store, located at 423 Wall Street across from the Princeton Airport. Welcome to our show, Apple Talk by Creative Computing. Here we discuss everything Apple, from products to software, even technical issues. Today we're going to focus on Apple's new announcements from the other day, namely iOS 6, the new iPhone, the new iPods. Before I do, though, I want to mention starting in October, we're going to have a new person on our show, Granny Smith. Granny Smith is our new spokesperson. The idea is Granny Smith, the home of Creative Computing, the home of Granny Smith and other fine apples. Granny Smith is going to be our new spokesperson, is going to talk with me on the show and everywhere else that we do anything, telling you about the Macintosh and her experiences. Should be very good. Anyway, so as everybody knows, last week Apple had some pretty good announcements, and of course everyone was excited. The iPhone 5 was announced, came out 2 days ago. iOS 6 was announced, came out 3 days ago, new iPods. We are expecting later this year some more announcements, and I'll come to them after I tell you about the current announcements. Anyway, so the new iPhone 5 is of course the biggest announcement. Here's my iPhone 4. I'm going to get a 5, I haven't yet. But I just want to show you, the new iPhone is about 18% thinner. So I don't know if you can see the two black edges here, but it's like having one of them gone. A little bit thinner of a phone. It's lighter as well. Taller-wise, height-wise, it has a new 4-inch screen versus, here's mine. That's my 3.5-inch screen. The new 4-inch screen only makes the phone about this much taller, like 1.5 millimeters. What they did is this area here and this area here are thinner, like that and like that, which allows some more room for the screen without a significant size difference on the phone. We have accessories, cases, and all that other stuff in stock. Come in and get some. Mention this TV show and you get 10% off. Let me tell you some more about the iPhone. It has the new ultra-fast A6 chip. This is a special chip actually developed by Apple. Apple bought a chip manufacturing company, and this, I believe, is the first chip that Apple has produced totally by itself. It's based on the A5 and the A4 ARM processors, but Apple owns this chip, and it is in use in the phone, blazingly fast. It also offers better battery life and better graphics performance. The chip is probably twice as fast as the iPhone 4S. The graphics are much nicer. I compared, I don't have my 5 yet to show you, but I compared the graphics on the 5 with my 4, noticeably different. The graphics are sharper and crisper, the colors are brighter, and even the text is better. Everything about the screen on the iPhone 5 is superior. And better battery life, always want that. I'm good for 3 or 4 hours. I'm a heavy phone user, but better battery life, can't go wrong. The new Retina display screen has 1136 by 640 pixel resolution at 326 pixels per inch. Retina display, very, very nice, better than the iPad. And it's designed very much for one-handed ease of use. It's very easy still to just do what you want with your thumb, which is what I tend to use. And the 4 is pretty good too. I can pretty much turn this thing on and do it. Sometimes when I need to slide across an alert or something, it's a little bit hard to bring my thumb all the way to the edge. But supposedly the 5 is even easier to use with one hand. It's available right away on AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint. It comes in black and slate color or white and silver. The black and slate, the slate is just a darker, or not really darker, more of a grayer, more intense black back here, and of course the silver is the silver. I'm not sure which one I'm going to get. Apple has the new ear pods, which instead of being the little disc that hangs on your ear, it's now a little pod that inserts in your ear. Supposedly they're very good. The idea is better audio and more comfortable. And I know a number of people who are runners who say the old style Apple earphones are always falling out when you run. They're not really that good for that. So, one of the biggest features on the new iPhone is the 8-megapixel iSight camera that it now has. It can shoot panoramic photos up to 28 megapixels. You can just hold it, you tell the phone which way you're going to be taking your camera. Your panorama. You just slide in that direction, you hit shoot, and then you stop. And it takes panoramic photo. They look great. They're very great. Does better job than stitching in other apps and things like that. And 8 megapixels is pretty nice. Digital cameras years ago would come in like 1, 2, 3 megapixels. 8 is pretty good. I have some photos from like 10 years ago on a 2-megapixel camera that looked great back then. Now when I bring them up on my 27-inch iMac and it expands the photo to this big, they look a little bit pixelated. But if I just reduce it to any reasonable size, they're still fine photos. If you remember from your film days, you would never print a photo this big anyway. So I think 8 megapixels is going to be more than adequate for the foreseeable future. I'm sure sometime down the line when we have 50,000 pixels across and down, you'll be like, oh my God. But nonetheless. The photo capturing is faster, about 40%. I find that to be great. When I bring up my camera now and I click, it's like, you wait, come on, there it is. And now I can take another one. 40% faster right there will be a very nice speed increase. Improved noise reduction too. You'll see less jittery and artifacts and lines and misapplied color, things like that. It just does a much nicer, noise-free, clearer, crisper photo. The HD video includes face detection, so it'll optimize focus on the faces that are in your video. Still photo capture and stabilization. It will, while you're taking videos, the videos are very clear, it's very easy to capture frames, and the stabilization is very good. Extra important too with your panoramic photos, you definitely want it to be nice and stable. It's very good at adjusting everything it needs to adjust. The new iPhone does have the new, Apple calls it the Lightning connector. It's a replacement for the dock connector. It's about half the size of this one. You can connect a wire either way. The current ones are specific directionally. I'm not sure if that's great or not, but it doesn't hurt anything. It's smaller, and all new Apple devices will have that. We have in stock the adapter to convert your old chargers to the new Lightning connector shape. You can get that in a little adapter or a cable. iOS 6, that's really the big thing. iOS 6 is the features on your phone, how it works. You can get iOS 6 on your 4S, your new 5, your iPads, everything. And iOS 6 does a lot. Let me tell you about it. First, it has Maps. Apple has replaced the Google Maps app that everybody's used to with their own Maps application. This application has a lot of things going for it. It includes turn-by-turn navigation, which the Google Map never did. It would give you the directions, but if you strayed, it didn't autocorrect or anything like that. Now the Maps application does. It's Apple's first cut at mapping, so I'm sure there's going to be some bugs. I heard about in England, there's a couple of towns that are like in the water and the like, but that's just the data. I'm kind of surprised that it's off. Apple has contracted to get the map data from TomTom. So I would think it's pretty accurate, but I'm sure whatever that is will be fixed very quickly in an iOS 6.1 kind of release. So that's the maps. The real-time traffic. We've talked about this here on Apple Talk by Creative Computing, but I think it's such a great feature that I'd like to talk about it again. Real-time traffic is this. You're driving along with your iPhone in the car, whether or not you're using it even, or maybe you're using the turn-by-turn directions. But your phone, due to the GPS capability, knows what speed you're going and what road you're on. So if you're on the highway and the speed limit is 55 and you're going 20, it knows that that's weird. Now, if you're the only person going 20 and everybody else is going 55, 70, whatever, it can conclude reasonably that you have some kind of car problem, maybe you have a flat tire, whatever. But if everybody's going 20, it can also reasonably conclude that there's traffic. There's enough iPhones out there and enough iOS 6 devices that this data should be very, very reliable and robust. My current GPS, I have a little TomTom in the car. I don't know where it gets its traffic data, but it's not always correct. I think they're waiting for some sort of municipal reporting or something like that, but sometimes it says there's traffic and there isn't, or there's no traffic and there is. The iPhone won't get it wrong. It will be updated in real time just by the sheer number of iPhones driving down the street. I think that's a great feature. Local search results it has, still of course, you can type in restaurant or whatever and it will tell you what's nearby. You can pick a restaurant and it will automatically turn-by-turn navigate there or bring up the website or whatever it is that you need. Very nice. And then they added flyover. Flyover is this. Picture being in like a helicopter at just over building height. Looking down, so you're looking out of the window as the helicopter flies, you're looking out at 45 degrees, maybe you circle a building, whatever. The flyover view gives you that helicopter view at 45 degrees of the area that you tell it to look at. It's very nice. It makes it easy to find things that you're looking for. You can compare the map view to what you're seeing for real and help find, maybe you'll find the business you want or whatever the case might be. And I could see that being combined with other apps like augmentation. Picture this, like you're in, I'm just making this up, Japan, and there's a bunch of street signs that you can't read because you don't speak Japanese. You bring up your iPhone with a third-party app. It uses the Maps app and translates all the signs that are on the map as you look. Could be very useful. So anyway, so that's Maps. It's also integrated with all of the stuff like Find My Friends, Find My iPhone, all of that stuff. You can get a very nice 3D flyover view. Siri, everybody's favorite app, Siri. Siri has a bunch of improvements in iOS 6. It comes on the you can get Siri with iOS 6 on the iPhone 5, the 4S, and the new iPad. The iPad now has Siri, or will once you upgrade yours to iOS 6. Siri's great. You can ask it questions, and they've improved the questions that you can ask. You can ask questions about sports, movies, and restaurants, and Siri will give you much more information. Like, how are the Yankees doing right now? And it will say, oh, they're winning 5-4 in the 7th inning, or they're in first place, whatever the case might be. Information that it didn't have before. In the past, when you had this kind of question, you would ask Siri and it would come back and say, I do not know, would you like to do a web search for this? And then would, of course, web search. The web search is, and for the foreseeable future, will remain Siri's backup choice if it doesn't know the answer, but they've given it more questions. I think that's a pretty nice enhancement. They've added support for a bunch of new languages as well. Italian, Spanish, Korean, Mandarin, and Cantonese. Now Siri works in all those languages. If you speak any of them, perfect. I bet you, I haven't tried this myself, but I wonder if you could make it translate. Say you're visiting China. You could say to Siri, translate this to Chinese, and it could potentially speak in Chinese and or help you talk with somebody who speaks Chinese that's standing nearby. Facebook integration. Facebook is now integrated in Contacts and Calendar and in Siri. You can now post to Facebook using any of those things. So for instance, you can say to Siri, post on my timeline that I'm at the mall, and Siri will take care of it. Apple released over this weekend the latest update to Mountain Lion for the Mac, 10.8.2. It also includes much more integrated Facebook notification. Same idea, you can Facebook post from anywhere now. The Facebook, or what else about Mountain Lion? One more thing about Mountain Lion. Mountain Lion is improved, and iOS 6 together have improved messages. Now when you're on the phone, if you message somebody, whether you message their phone number or their email, if they are also running iOS 6 and Mountain Lion 10.8.2, the messages will be the same either way. You won't have different conversations that exist on your phone because one time you used email and one time you used text or whatever. This also is a big hit with the carriers because, a hit financially to the carriers because now more and more text will go over Apple's network and not use the carrier features. But it's the way of the future anyway. Data is going to be data. Eventually the carriers will get the hang of this. They'll just charge for data, and that'll be that. Passbook. Passbook is now fully integrated in iOS 6. Passbook is the app that holds your boarding passes, coupons, things like that. It's very well integrated. When you go to, say, a website and view a boarding pass, it will offer to stick it into Passbook. Retail coupons, those store cards that you flash all the time at the supermarket, you can put all of those into Passbook and it will display them whenever needed. So at the supermarket, you bring up Passbook, you bring up your supermarket card, you hold it over the scanner, done. No need to carry those cards anymore. More and more support will be coming with that, and I predict, here's a prediction you heard first on Apple Talk by Creative Computing. I predict that NFC will be in the next iPhone and will integrate very well with Passport. You can bring up your credit card, that puts your credit card in NFC mode because you log into your Passport, which is locked, then you beep it on the touchpad that you see at more and more stores, and you use your credit card. I believe that will happen. It'll need some support from the credit card companies, but we'll see. We also have a device. It's a little case that fits on the phone. It has a slide-out magnetic strip, and it connects, even though it attaches physically to the phone, it connects by Bluetooth. And you have an app that goes with it, and you can tell the magnetic stripe what you want on the stripe. So say, for right now, you bring up your Visa card, say, put my Visa on the stripe, it codes it, and then you can slide it out and swipe your thing. a nice little touch. It's not quite NFC, but it gets more and more automated and more integrated, and I'd very much like to see this happen. So that's Passbook, very nice. Concert tickets, whatever. Really help you not carry so much. I'd like to see motor vehicles get on board with something like that and let me put my driver's license there. It'd be great if I could get to the point where this is the only thing I need to carry. It does my money and my ID and my concert tickets and everything else. I predict that we're at least 10 years away from that. It's going to take a while for government to come on board with things like driver's licenses, and a little less time for credit cards, but even then it's going to take some more time. In Europe and the like, more and more of that is used. NFC and those little chips you see in the credit card are much more integrated. I went to Europe recently, and my American credit card was good almost nowhere because I didn't have that little chip. Keep that as advice if you go to Europe. Anyway, FaceTime with iOS 6 now works over the cellular network, not just Wi-Fi. That's a nice little touch. FaceTime will become more and more popular with that enhancement. It makes it more usable. And you can directly call with FaceTime and switch to FaceTime just like you always could. Mountain Lion now can make a FaceTime call as well in the Messages app with 10.8.2. Moving on, the iPods. The iPod Touch has been updated. The iPod Touch is extra thin, only 6 millimeters. It has a whole bunch of colors, yellows and blues, a whole bunch of colors, 6 of them, nice and vibrant. It has the iPod Touch Loop. It actually has a strap now so you don't lose it. A nice little touch. It comes with the new Apple EarPods with the remote and mic. And of course it runs iOS 6 with Siri. Very nice. And in some cases, if you have like Vonage, say, or a voice over IP application, which Creative Computing can help you with, but if you have something like that, you could actually use an iPod Touch as a phone as long as it's connected to the internet somehow, without paying any phone service at all. We've seen a number of people, mostly younger kids, who will use an iPod as a phone because there's no carrier, there's no fee, and there's no financial risk to the parents. If you're interested in that, come in and ask us how. The iPod Touch has the A5 chip, not the A6 of the new iPhone, but the A5, up from the A4 that was in the iPod Touch. The A5 has twice the system performance of the A4 and 7 times the graphics performance. Very nice. The iPod Touch stays right behind the phone. It's a great, great device. It also has the new iSight camera in the iPod Touch. Works with FaceTime. It's only 5 megapixels. It has autofocus and an LED flash. It can do the panoramic photo that we talked about when we were talking about the iPhone. 1080p video recording for the first time. That's a nice touch. If you remember, a few years ago, Apple had the iPod Nano. The Nano had video recording. That didn't last long. They took it out, but it was a nice little camera. People really want a little video camera that's easy to carry, that you can bring, turn on, and then put in your pocket. When you're on vacation with the kids and the like, you can carry a camcorder, a bigger camcorder, TV camera like I'm talking to you with now, but the stuff's just too big. You can't take a quick video and then chase your kids down the beach. You need something smaller. While there's definitely a market for the big camcorder, I think that the little fit-in-your-pocket camcorder is nice, and the iPod Touch helps fill that gap. And again, because it has no cellular service, the risk of loss is a little bit more minimized. And you can, of course, use it with Find My iPod. It also will do face detection, which, again, will make the photos or the movies or whatever pick out the faces that are in the film, in the view, and optimize the focus for them. Like the iPad, it will do up to 10 faces. It's pretty nice. You'll be able to tell when you're taking your video, you'll see on the viewfinder the little rectangles that represent the faces. The iPod Touch also has the all-new Lightning connector. Same idea. Fits either way, interchangeable. Again, we have the adapters. What else? The iPod Nano that was fitting in your wrist is now a little bit bigger. It has Bluetooth. It will no longer fit in a wristwatch, but you can't load apps on it yet either, but it has more capabilities. In particular, because it has Bluetooth, it's a great thing for running. You can pick your songs, clip it on somewhere, and now that it's Bluetooth, you don't have the wire running up your arm or wherever it is. I think the Bluetooth is a great addition for the Nano. It's needed a long time. Would have been nice on the wristwatch size one too. The shuffle they did not upgrade, other than they introduced a bunch of new colors. We have some shuffles in stock and some old iPod Touches that are available at a very good price if you're interested. And that's it for what Apple announced, I guess, about 2 weeks ago and released last Friday. More announcements that we are expecting later this year. New iMacs. The iMac, we're a dealer, I can say this, the iMac has become highly constrained. They're very hard to get right now. People order an iMac from us and they have to wait a week or two because we believe that that's the sign that Apple's about to have a new one. So stay tuned here. I think it'll still be a 27 and a 21. It'll run Mountain Lion, possibly a better display. Rumors are a Retina display. Don't know. There's also a rumor about a Mac Mini having an enhancement later this year. Can't say for sure. It would be nice. The Mac Mini is the best one for a home media center. You can take a Mac Mini, connect it to your television. It can have HDMI output to your TV. You can watch movies on it that look great. With the CD drive, it can be your DVD player. You could get a third-party Blu-ray device, and it can be your Blu-ray player as well. You can have picture-in-picture with that from multiple sources. You can connect your cable box to it, and you could put, for instance, your iPhoto, your family iPhoto or iTunes library on this Mac Mini. And then when you're at home, all your computers can access the library. It gives you the ability to share the library. You don't need to share playlists and all, but it gives you a common spot for all your audio. It gives you a spot that isn't leaving the house or being carried around to be dropped. So in effect, it protects your data. Add a time capsule to that somewhere on your network, and you've got a spot to store your data and a spot to back it up to. Further, with some help from somebody technical, like one of the people at Creative Computing, you can enable access to that Mac Mini from outside. So if you're at school and need your homework, you can log in and grab it. Prevents the need for thumb drives. It keeps your data secure and not losable and accessible from any Mac anywhere at any time. If you're on vacation and need to empty your digital camera, it might be slow, but you could get your photos stored at home using the internet connection if you had a Mac Mini server. So we think the Mac Mini server hooked up to your television is a great, great enhancement, and hopefully there will be one this year. The Mac Pro, Apple has not announced anything new on. We will see. It still remains so blazingly fast, upgradable to 64 gigs of RAM. Totally nice. What else in the world of Apple? I think that that's it for today. Just to recap, we talked about the new iPhone 5 and all of its features and how fast and sharp the video is. We talked about iOS 6, the map in particular with the crowdsourced traffic that I think is just an awesome, awesome implementation. New Siri, different languages, Facebook and FaceTime, the Passbook, which I think is going to become a very popular app. We talked about the new iPods and some thoughts for the future with the iMacs and other Apple products. I would want to reiterate that Granny Smith will be joining us at some point in October, and she'll be a guest on this show every single time we do it, and we will discuss Apple items together, give you more feedback and opinion. And that's it. So, thank you for watching Apple Talk by Creative Computing. Again, I'm Jeff Gorman. If you would like to suggest a topic or a question for our show, please email appletalk@creativecomputing.com. Please visit Creative Computing for all your Apple needs, sales, or service. We are located at 423 Wall Street across from the Princeton Airport on Route 206. You can call us at 609-683-3MAC. Visit us online at www.creativecomputing.com. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, yada yada, on all of them. We look forward to seeing you. And mention Apple Talk by Creative Computing to any of our sales staff and receive 10% off accessories. Thank you.